Welcome to Pause for Peace with me, Pastor Jule, and happy July 12th and the week that is stretching on before it in 2026. If you are a part of the Christian household, we have moved into the seventh Sunday after Pentecost. And as those who are a part of the Christian household, particularly following what's called the lectionary, a set of readings that preachers can utilize in worship, that folks can read at home, and that sermon ideas can come forth from. We are moving into a time in the Christian household, those of us following the lectionary, when we start diving deeper into the parables of Jesus according to the Gospel of Matthew. And when I think about parables, I think about stories. I think about like pearls of wisdom that are like wrapped up in something that would be like familiar in my daily life, but will help me to like gnaw upon what is the truth that's coming forth from this story. What wisdom is being passed on in this story? How, as like a disciple of stories, do I need to really sit with the story and let it work on my heart, work on my mind, work on my body, so that I might come to this understanding that's being passed on by the story. In a beautiful book by Cynthia Bourgeault, I want to highly recommend it to you. It's one of the books, it's like a key book for my life. It like truly expanded my understanding in ways that I am so grateful for. And maybe you need to be like, a little more mature on the path. Not sure about that, but for me, I was deep into my years of being a pastor when I was like asked to read this beautiful book called The Wisdom Jesus by Cynthia Bourgeault, an Episcopal priest who is an amazing, incredible teacher, mystic, just a fabulous person to be able to sit with and to hear all this wisdom that she has gained over years of being somebody deep in this path. And Cynthia Bourgeault puts before us in The Wisdom Jesus how throughout like so many places in the world, even if not necessarily in the Western Orthodox kind of understanding of Christianity, definitely coming out of a influence of the Apostle Paul, there are other places in the world where it is just a known fact that there are these like spiritual leaders, these shamans, these wisdom sages who are in the community, if you will, to be able to truly guide the community into this deep way of understanding like wisdom, like true guides for how I go about living my days. There's koans, or something you may have heard of, where teachers will actually put forth a saying, and it's like the disciples' job, it's the student's job to like wrestle with that saying, to really let it work upon them until they come to a deeper sense of knowing. In The Wisdom Jesus, as Cynthia Bourgeault helps us to see that there's like a way of understanding Jesus as like one of these sages, one of these wisdom teachers who was among us, like literally calling folks to come follow his path and like teaching through story, through example, through just living together, like teaching a new worldview, like a way to see it all and therefore to act. This is actually what wisdom teachers do. This is like what a sage in a culture, or like a shaman in an indigenous experience, like part of what they're there for is to truly work with the soul of people as they work to be like more whole in the world each day. And understanding Jesus as this sacred guide who is like passing on this deep wisdom that he knows in the pit of who he is, because he is like fully integrated, being 100% human and 100% divine, and there's great wisdom he has to pass on to us. The parables are just one of the ways that in the Christian household we keep before us this wisdom. You know, Jesus could have flat out told us, like, hey, pay attention to what's going on in your heart. Or he could use a story, like he does in the Gospel of Matthew, which many people might hear on July 12th, like about soil, about seeds, about what kind of seeds that will grow in particular soil. Like, it's a way at getting at the truth of reflecting upon, like, what is going on in my heart? Is it full of the weeds of bitterness and anger? Is it like jagged and jaded and sarcastic so that everything cuts when it comes into me, or as I have things going out from my mouth or my actions? Is it soil that is fertile, that is ready and expectant, filled with all of the nutrients that are needed for like love to blossom forth? He could tell us, like, pay attention to like the nature of your soul or of your heart, or he could tell us, like, work with these soils, like understand what it means to be somebody who is ready to bear fruit in the world, that the seeds can be planted in us so that they will grow. It's a metaphor. It's a beautiful way to come at this understanding. And it's a way that I'm going to have to wrestle with and that I can keep before me as I walk my path every day. In this season of these Sundays after Pentecost and of the summer of July here in the Northern Hemisphere, like, it's a time to like wrestle with story. Recently, I had the opportunity to see Hamilton, an amazing musical that was shown at TPAC, Tennessee Performing Arts Center. And, you know, I was there a couple of weeks ago, and I was there with a crowd of people, like some of the people who normally go to TPAC on the same day I do were not there. Hamilton is a story that's kind of like lifting up the contribution of somebody who's like not always celebrated as one of our founding fathers of the nation of the United States of America, Alexander Hamilton himself. And this boy who was like born of this blended connection between a Scotsman and an indigenous woman of the West Indies, and he, like, as a young boy, like making his way to the United States back in, like, you know, the 1800s and 1700s, sorry, and he is like, he's like young, scrappy, and hungry, he says, just like his country that he's just come into. It's young, scrappy, and hungry, as like this United States thing was like moving from being a colony of Britain, being colonies of Britain, into being like a nation itself. There's ways that Hamilton is not expected to be able to make a contribution. Like his father dies or leaves, and his mother dies, and like he's on his own as a young kid, but he makes his way to the United States of America, and which was not the United States of America at the time, like he's actually involved in the Revolution when the United States like overthrew this like tyranny of Britain and said, hey, we're going to be a country on our own over here on this soil. Like, there's a way that the history of being the United States of America, it is young, scrappy, and hungry. It is those who are like seeking to find a new way to be in a new world. Like, democracy that was being formed by our forefathers, it was like a new experiment in the world. And, you know, in a world that was ruled by nations that had kings and monarchs and, you know, dictators and whatnot, and like where like all people in a particular nation had to be of one religion and one thought, and like others would be like pushed out or forced to convert to a particular religion, as is very common in our European Western history. Like, to come to America, to come to this place where, yes, there already were people here, but to find a place where we could build this experiment of blending of understandings. Yeah, okay, I get it. There's so many ways we can understand the history of becoming a nation in a very negative way, there are sins of the fathers that definitely took place in the founding of the United States of America. There are sins of the fathers that continue to this day. The atrocities that we have caused to the indigenous First Nations that were already here, and kind of wiping them out, wiping out their history and banishing them from the most fertile soil. This is part of what we have to wrestle with our story as a nation, even as we have to wrestle with the blinders that so many of us have and had around who's valuable enough to not be made to be a pack mule, to be enslaved as somebody who is only there to work, seeing people as even less than human. Slavery is a part of this nation's founding, and it's something we have to wrestle with and move beyond, in that we seek to confront the sins of the fathers and make a way forward in a way of reconciliation that is truly we're all equal, we're all here. I mean, even in the story, the founding of our story, we know this, right? Women have not had the opportunity for all that long in this nation's history to be able to vote, to be able to own property, to be able to be on a jury, and to have opportunities at the table. Even today, women continue to not be paid as much for the same work that a man might do. We have to wrestle with these stories. And Hamilton is one of those beautiful musicals that gives us this insight, lifts up the story of a founding father that we don't often hear of, who actually helped to found the United States Treasury, figuring out a way to have a financial system as a nation. These are all things that had to be worked out as the United States became the United States, as we moved from being colonies under the King of Britain to being a nationhood together. We have to wrestle with these things. We have to understand our story, and sometimes our stories need to be broadened. And that can only happen when we start listening to the other stories. There's a beautiful line in Hamilton, and one of those beautiful songs that they're singing, that is just a reminder of Hamilton's story doesn't typically get told. And in Hamilton, there's a lot of animosity in some of the characters against Hamilton because he is an immigrant. And it's but you know what? He's a young, scrappy immigrant who gets the job done. And he has an amazing contribution he's made. We might always hear about George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, one of those earlier founders. We might always hear about them, but there's a broader story. I had the opportunity this past year as well to see SUFS as a TPAC production, Tennessee Performing Arts production. SUFS is about the contribution of women who were we are gonna get this vote in the United States of America. And the way that they worked and worked and worked until they would be seen as equal, we would be seen as equal with the ability to cast our vote for who will be our leaders in this democracy. This is all a part of our story. There are ways that we need to be clear about what parts of our own history, our own experience, really defines us. What stories about ourselves or our families or our community truly define us. It's only when we can all be clear about aspects of our story and bring them to the table and listen to one another's stories that we can really get a little bit further into the deep wisdom. There is deep wisdom in listening to one another's stories. In fact, the beautiful thing that happens when I can tell my stories, whether it is the most painful thing I've experienced or the most triumphant thing I've experienced, when I am able to share my story in a circle with others, there's a way that empathy grows. There's a way that connection comes about. There's a way that these encounters widen our heart, make the soil of our hearts to be more supple, more nutritious, more ready for the seeds of love to blossom. So here on this Sunday of July, the second Sunday of July, just 2026, I want us to go inside. I've shared a lot about story, obviously, but I want us to go inside and listen. Go inside into the space of our heart and listen for what story truly defines me. All right, let's get ourselves grounded where we are right now. Let's tune in to what's going on the bottom of our feet. Maybe begin to awaken that connection with the energy of the earth. Like remembering your feet are planted here in this land that has such violence has taken place in this land, such life has taken place in this land, so much kindness has happened on this land in which we stand, so much like overcoming has taken place on this land. We connect and we seek to connect with the energy that holds us here in this land and under this great big story of what it means to be a democracy where all are created equal, all are created equal, and all have the right to pursue happiness. All have the right of liberty. All have the right of justice. We all have the right to pursue who it is we have been created to be, no matter what we look like, where we came from, like how old we are, how young we are. We all, it says. So connecting deep with this land, we may even feel some of the pain that has taken place on these shores. But we ground ourselves here. As we take a deep breath from our belly before we release. Let's now bring awareness to the space of our heart, right there in the center of our chest. You might even see your heart space expanding. And if it often feels rocky or jagged or full of thorns, like maybe just for a moment right now, see love's fingers just like clearing that away and opening a little space in your heart, in this beautiful energy where nothing but love can go out and nothing but love can come in. Like imagine yourself like diving deeper into this space of your heart. So that for a few moments you can sit with the wisdom that is God, that is within. Like imagine your whole being sitting with this brilliance of light, this radiance of energy, this love that is God. And seeking from this indwelling presence the story that defines you, like putting it as a question, like what story truly defines me as an individual? We're not even go to the United States or like to the Christian church, like just go to what story truly defines me. And listen, because we may be carrying a story in our minds. Our ego might be like really grasped onto a story that is not the true story that defines me. So listen to what this brilliant radiance of the divine, you might even need to see that as like Jesus the Christ within, or as the Spirit somehow. What story truly defines me? Listen, merely receive the message that the Holy has for you Take a deep breath. So that we can remain present right there in the stillness, ready to receive. What story truly defines me? And quiet as you're listening, you may be watching, you may be sensing, noticing what's going on. There's all sorts of ways that the Holy will reveal to us when we turn inward through the heart and seek to encounter the great mystery that is God. Let's take one more deep breath from the belly. Hold it just a moment before you release slowly. Inwardly express some form of gratitude. You may even want to make a bow to the indwelling spirit. When you are ready, come back to this present moment. You may want to wiggle your fingers and your toes to be back here in this place, in this moment, as you open your eyes and can hopefully hold on to, for just a moment or two, the gem of wisdom that came forth, like what you heard or what you experienced. I gotta tell you, it took me a little while to get settled today in this, going into the space of the heart. And when I finally did, and I was in this space, my hands started heating up. And it was like a sensation. Now I need to decipher what that sensation means and how that might be something I can integrate into my daily life. I kind of already have a little suspicion about it, but whatever it is you have received, I hope you will find a way to write it down, send yourself a text message, record a memo, whatever you need to do, take to your journal, go dance it out, however you need to, so that what has been revealed to you about what story truly defines you can really help you move through the steps of your days. There are so many ways that we get caught up in our ego attachments, that we let the words beyond us and in cultural values define us, that we might even think that we are nothing more than our parents always told us we were, or our teacher at one point in time said we were. There are so many ways that we can get definitions put on us, but there's only one way that we can truly know the story that really defines us, and it is by getting into this place of quiet and hearing what the Holy has to say to us, what God will tell us. I've mentioned this before. In the Celtic Christian understanding of Jesus, like, the understanding of the Christ is that he, like, wakes us back up. He, like, resounds. It's a recapitulation of who we really are. Beautiful words from John Philip Newell. Like, Yeshua resounds the truth of who we were made to be. Like, he tells us, you are precious, you are loved, you are this beautiful blend of spirit and matter, and you are here to matter in this world. Like, there's a way that is the definition of who we are that saves us day by day. It's a beautiful way to understand the role of Jesus in our lives, and like the role of this one who literally can be our Savior, because he is the one who keeps us to this true definition of who we are. Keep that before you all throughout the week. Have an incredible time of enjoying the summer. We're moving deeper and deeper into these weeks of the summer here in the Northern Hemisphere. And for those of us living in the South, we understand the temperatures might be heating up. We might need like a little bit more ways to cool ourselves off. Find ways to enjoy the bliss of summer wherever you are, however you are, all throughout this week. Blessings, and join us next time for Pause for Peace.